I found trying to duplicate a panel with controls that the only choice you have is make similar. Whereas with an individual control, you can make a copy which duplicates the functionality, or you can make similar, and that will be independent of the original control. And so I'm just trying to show that I have this panel selected. I've already populated it with some buttons to demonstrate what's going to happen. I'm going to get out of design mode and, well, actually, I want to go through and explain my setup for each of the buttons. I have a toggle for button 1. It's 1-1 for the MIDI as a control change, and button 2 is the toggle, and it's 1-2. Button 3 I made momentary, but I found out it didn't matter, and it's channel 1-3, so each one is independent for the CC value. The knob is 1-4. Okay. One other point I want to make is MIDI receive. MIDI receive is off. MIDI receive is on. MIDI receive is on. So now I want to go and duplicate, but my only choice is make similar, and come over down here, and let's just go back and check button 4. Well, let me kill the panel there. Button 4 is the toggle. Both were toggle. That's a toggle, and that's a momentary. Okay, so they, at least the function subtype duplicated. The MIDI is, as you see, the same: 1-1, 1-2, and 1-3. Okay. If I look at this guy, 1-4, there you go. Now let's look, before I do anything further, let's look at the behavior. Okay, if they were truly independent, button 4 would not affect button 1. Okay, and button 5 would not affect button 3, but lo and behold it does. And button 6 is momentary, and it does affect button 3. The slider, so they're behaving when you first make the copy, or I shouldn't use the word copy. When you first duplicate the panel, some of the knobs behave the same. Well, I found the difference is if I go back to the design mode, and this does not have MIDI receive. So that means disk 4 is not receiving an output from 1, and 1 is not receiving an output from 4, but 2 and 4 are interchangeable. So they're both received. So the key is, excuse me, the key is whether MIDI receive is on or off. But if you're going to duplicate and you want a real copy, you can't really do it by duplicating a panel with a bunch of controls. But what you need to do, and here I have a summary, what you really need to do is go back into this panel. Oh, I turned it off. Let's turn it back on. And because the CC values are the same, that's what causes the interaction, and it has nothing to do with one being a copy of the other. So if I were to change the CC value, offset it, let's say go from 1 to 2, okay, apply, okay, now I find oh, that's momentary, that's why. They're independent. So if you're gonna if you're gonna try to make duplicate copies of controls, they need to be different. You need to change the CC value one way or the other. Either the channel or the CC value, or you can't use the same MIDI value on two controls that are receive only, or MIDI receive, I should say. So that's summarized here. Makes similar on a panel, creates new instances of controls and not copies. However, makes similar does not auto-increment the individual control MIDI settings, such as happens for make similar of an individual control. Thus, two controls will have the same, with the same MIDI assignment, may behave as copies if both have MIDI receive active. But to make them similar with or without active MIDI receives, you need to offset the MIDI values in the duplicate panel. So that's in summary what I have uncovered. I hope this helps you avoid some confusion like I had at first.